In Civilization 6, the last time I made one of these Civ guides was when the Russian economy was actually stronger than a lemonade stand run by a kid in the middle of Compton. This time we're going to be exploring the Civ 6 Dilf, the Cavalry General, a specimen so fine even a TheCivLifeR subscriber would nod their head in approval. That's right, we are talking about Basil II of Byzantium and how to actually play Byzantium. The other guides are linked in the description with the playlist, and I am still looking for a thumbnail artist, so if you want, send in your work in the email in the pinned comment. It's paid, of course. Let me know down below which civ you want me to do next, and if you enjoy, leave a like and subscribe to not miss out on future content. Taking a look at the abilities real quick, Byzantium's unique ability is Ligma Ball's Trump. Cities following Byzantium's religions have their walls make like dads leaving to get milk at the grocery store and disappear. All cavalry units ignore walls no matter what level they are, and this is huge, as converting civs to your religion helps you directly with conquest. The fact that walls are useless and archers are about as effective against cavalry as a wet paper bag means Byzantium cannot be stopped at all, unless you're up against Babylon. In which case they could just bomb everything in the ancient era with stealth bombers, pretty much recreating Japanese kamikaze strikes. Basil's leader ability is come on for Axis, how is this fair? All units, including religious, gain 3 combat strength for every holy site under your control, including your own. It's literally an extra steroid because ignoring walls was somehow not good enough. Not only that, but other religions make like the Afghan government and bolt when you kill units. Any units killed unleash huge amounts of religious pressure to all nearby cities, kinda like religious units, but it's like 100 times more powerful. Byzantium's unique unit is Charizard. In Civ 5 at least, Civ 6 Dromans don't breathe fire, but they still get 10 combat strength against other naval units, but for some reason they're a quadrireme, which means you can literally ignore them, just like everyone ignores the Last Airbender movie. The other unique unit is Stop It Stop, He's Already Dead. The Tagma replaces the Knight and is researched with Divine Right Civic, so you're going to need Culture, but unlike the Knight, it gains 5 combat strength, and all nearby units gain 4 combat strength as a great general bonus, because ignoring walls and 6 to 15 combat strength from holy cities wasn't enough. Medieval era is where Byzantium shines harder than stars in a supernova, and you are unstoppable for a period of about 50 turns with the Tagma. But how are you going to spam those Tagmas out in reasonable numbers? Well, Byzantium's unique district is called Game of Thrones Dothraki, because like the Dothraki in Season 8, cavalry appears out of nowhere. Every Hippodrome building gives you the most advanced cavalry unit you can build for free, meaning Tagma spam is that much easier. It's cheaper, and it also gives 3 amenities on top of everything else. Why? Because 6 to 15 combat strength from holy cities, 4 from Tagmas, ignoring walls, and free units is apparently not enough. Let's get into the main strategy. How do you play Byzantium, actually? The main strategy is simple enough. You spend the early game with astrology to get a holy site for a religion. That 1 extra great profit point per holy site comes in clutch when it comes to getting a religion. It's pretty much guaranteed. You get the worker text while making sure to get the crusade belief for 10 combat strength in enemy cities following your religion. Yup, just like Russian Olympiads were not done with the steroids just yet. Get the Entertainment Civic and then Divine Right to get Hippodromes, and pop out more soldiers than the Soviets threw at the Germans. With your Tagma army, declare war on the nearest civ, kill some easy units to convert their nearby cities, and then make sure to fight only in the city's borders that are in your religion, thanks to the Crusade belief. With all these buffs, the Tagma gets 50 base combat strength, plus 3 from the Holy City being your own religious Holy City, 10 from Crusade, and 4 from adjacent Tagmas. Without factoring in anything like flanking bonuses or other Holy Cities you might have, you'll get at least 67 combat strength. Stronger than anything until the modern era, in the medieval era. And don't forget that walls work about as well as 80-year-old dicks after erectile dysfunction, so you are literally unstoppable. After that, all you have to do is walk through cities like Napoleon walked through Europe and win the easiest domination victory of your life. That's even more brain dead than a deformed Habsburg. After that, if you still need time, you have at least 3 other civs worth of cities, if that makes sense. You know, you still took out like 3 different civs probably at this point. You can transition to any other victory type you want, although domination and faith are probably the best due to the fact that it would be the easiest victories to accomplish, but science and culture can work, albeit less effective than the League of Nations in 1939. Now, this is normally where I would put in the secret strategy, top tier, 5th secret society type level big brain moves, but the secret strategy we have here is about as secret as Putin's plan for Ukraine in December. Not very, as Byzantium is very straightforward. It's a domination civ with some faith bonuses to help you achieve that domination. But what if we use domination and faith to get a religious and science victory? The point is to do the same exact thing at the start of the game, get a religion, build up towards your dogmas, but for religious beliefs, you go cross-culture dialogue and world church, both of which give science and culture respectively for every 4 citizens following the religion. After that, you go around the world, and as a wise man once said, if they don't follow your religion, it's time to get pillaging. Socrates. Pillaging, conquering, and destroying like a Christian Genghis Khan with all the yields is what you want to do, as everything you get from pillaging and all the units you take out will give you more yields than you know what to do with. You will dominate the science and culture game, as every civ you declare war on will follow your religion, and with everything you pillage from mines to campuses, holy sites, you not only put them far behind, you bring yourself up to par due to all the yields you will be getting from pillaging everything. It's pretty much a domination science culture type strategy, and you're going to dominate science and culture like if Einstein was a dominatrix. And you will have an easy path to literally any victory type you want at this point. Wonders in Civilization 6 are about as useful as League of Legends getting you a girlfriend. It's just not going to work. But for a domination victory, in Byzantium especially, there are 3 different wonders that you can acquire to at least help out your empire somewhat. The first one being the Terracotta Army, as free promotions after you get your army of Togmas is just another steroid. I mean, at this point, you're going to need a new needle, how many times you're injecting those steroids into your Togmas, but the Terracotta Army gives a free promotion, which you can use to get barding, which gives you defense against ranged attacks, making walls even less useful than they already are. The next wonder you want to look at is the Colosseum. I mean, you're going to get entertainment earlier on anyway, and it is one of the easier wonders to get, so might as well make your people happy while you make people in enemy civs absolutely frowning due to the death and destruction that is going to occur in those cities. When it comes to the Oracle, it might not seem like a good early wonder, but with the patronage promotion and the fact that it gives you more great people points, using it to get a very early great general, or maybe even 2, can allow you to set up your army that much faster. All in all, wonders as Byzantium for a domination victory especially are absolutely useless. If you are going for a religious victory, that's a whole other story, but I find in a normal Byzantium game that religious wonders are probably the least useful you can build, considering the fact that you can just spread your religion by dismembering enemy units. In the real world, governments are meant to work for the people, providing them with a standard of living to allow them to achieve whatever it is they want in their life. In Civ 6, we say fuck to that. The government is only for my benefit, alright? You're gonna work in the coal mines. You don't like the coal mines? Well, there's a good place in northern Siberia just for you, just screaming out your name. But the 3 governments in Civ 6 that I'd recommend for a Byzantium domination game are number 1, oligarchy, theocracy, and fascismo, just so I can keep that YouTube ad revenue in this video. Oligarchy is pretty simple. It gives you more unit experience and makes your melee units a little stronger in case you don't want to go full-on cavalry for some reason. It's probably the only reason you should go oligarchy. Autocracy is kind of useless, and classical republic can work, especially if you're not planning to go to war until you get theocracy. Speaking of which, theocracy is the second government you should get. Stronger religious units and cheaper faith purchases, combined with the fact that you can get the Grandmaster's Chapel for really cheap unit purchases, makes this a great government to get, especially considering the fact it's going to give you a lot more faith per turn. Fascismo is the last government that you really want to look out for in Tier 3. It gives more combat strengths to all all units and not just melee units. Combine that with oligarchy and you are going to have a well-equipped tank army, high off cocaine, ready to blitzkrieg through the northern Ardennes. Aside from that, the tier 4 governments are really not that good for Byzantium when you're going for a domination or even religious victory, so at the end of the day, I'd probably stick with the tier 3 government and just ignore tier 4 altogether. And now for some pitfalls to avoid. As easy as Byzantium is, there are a couple of traps akin to a Skyrim dungeon that can leave you throwing your controller or keyboard across the room and swearing about a vengeance against Montezuma in a fit of rage. The first one is going for cities immediately instead of taking out units. Listen, alright, if you don't convert enemy cities to your religion, they're going to keep the walls up. But when they see their family members getting dismembered out on the field, they will immediately start worshipping the cult of Byzantium, alright? And that's exactly what you need to do, because walls are pretty strong and cavalry units don't have battering rams or anything to take them out, so you want to take out units first, and then go for cities when they become a lot more useless. The second pitfall you want to go for is rushing for domination too quickly. Avoid this at all costs. Byzantium really starts picking up in the medieval to Renaissance era, so the early game is probably best spent working on your economy, getting some money and traders, getting that religion up and running and established, building those hippodromes until about one turn left, and then after you get togmas, and after you get the theocracy government, or even oligarchy at this point, that is when you'd finish the rest of your hippodromes, get out the togma army, and then you go to war. Byzantium doesn't have any bonuses to an early war aside from crusade if you found a religion, so you really want to avoid going for an early war unless you find a really great opportunity, and trust me, you have the entire game to bash enemy heads in. You don't have to do it immediately. Before we end off this absolute banger, or should I say shit show of a video, I got some multiplayer tips that will leave you at the end of the day, just like me, friendless. The first one is going to be to chop units last second. In multiplayer, everyone has the ribbon open so they can see your exact combat strength, and they will build units to match yours. We don't want people who can fight back against us. We're only going to want to fight civilians and people who can't fight back. So for that, what I would recommend doing is build some cavalry units or any type of units until there's one turn remaining, and then switch production to something like the hippodrome until there's one turn remaining there, and then wait till you get the togma and are about ready to go to war, get a builder in every city, and chop out those two hippodrome and unit, so you can immediately go from like 50 to 600 combat strength in one turn, and by the time the enemy player realizes what's happened, you will already be 8 inches inside of them, and just, it's gonna be over at that point. The second multiplayer tip is archers for spear units and ignore spear units. Spear units in Civ 6 are pretty much the stepchild. They're absolutely ignored, and they are absolutely useless most of the time. But being a horde, a cavalry-focused Civ, Byzantium does have a certain weakness to spear units. I would recommend, especially in the early game, getting some archers out for them, or just to ignore them with cavalry altogether, as they ignore zone of control. Don't fight spear units, it's going to take a lot more damage than you think, and at the end of the day, being able to fight other units like archers will allow you to spread your religion a lot easier. The third multiplayer tip is to not send religious units to spread without military support. Being able to spread your religion in multiplayer is just like being able to eat in India in the early 20th century. It's just not going to happen. You want to send in religious units to your own cities to convert your cities, but by the time you send them to an enemy, they'll literally declare war on you just to pillage those religious units, so you're best off just ignoring religion for the most part of the game. If you want to spread religion, do it with military units, or at least have a garrison so that the enemy can't pillage your religious units immediately. That's going to be it. Let me know down below what other civs you want to learn how to actually play, who's next in the series, and leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy to not miss out on future content. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.